Hey guys, Miss Tate here. So I know the past 3 days we have been focused on stem and leaf charts. And we've gotten really good at reading these and making these and solving problems that include stem and leaf. But I want to show you and take it one step further today and show you how these can be a little bit different here in 4th grade. So far we've learned, right, that they're broken down basically by place value. Okay, the stem side seems to be like the tens place and the leaf side is like the ones place. So like 0 and 7, we put them together, right, and that's a 7. 1 and 3, right, there's a 1 in the tens place, a 3 in the ones place, that's a 13. Then this 6 over here, right, is the 1 still in the tens place, a 6 in the ones place, that's a 16. 2, 3, 23, we have 25, 29, right? We've been practicing this for 3 days now. So we should be pretty comfortable with making and reading a stem and leaf chart. What I want you to pay attention to is down at the bottom of a stem and leaf, there's typically a key. Now, like in social studies, when you're looking at a map, right, the key kind of tells you what goes with what, and like, oh, if it's shaded this color, it means this. If it's this shape, it means this. Well, stem and leaves will also have a key. So in this case, if we're reading it just like this, you'll see a key, then it might say, like, if you see a 1 line and then the 5, so 1 on the stem side, a 5 on the leaf side, that would equal a 15. So this is the key. So it's telling you, oh, if you see, you know, this is the stem and leaf, so here's like the dividing line. If there's a 1 on this side, a 5 on that side, that should equal 15. Most keys say something along those lines. You will sometimes, however, see a key that says this. So I'm going to take one of these random numbers. So if you have a 2 on the stem side and then let's say a 9 on the leaf side, sometimes the stem and leaf side, instead of this equaling 29, sometimes you'll see it, hey, that is actually going to be a decimal this time. So now every single one of these, we're going to put a decimal in the middle because the key says, hey, these are not whole numbers anymore. These are now decimals. So it says on the key if it's going to be a decimal or if it's going to be a whole number. So like this now, instead of being 0, 7, just 7, if I have this as my key, I need to put a decimal here in the middle. It's 0.7 now. Instead of this being 1 and 3 is 13, if I'm reading this key and applying it, that's not 13. Now that's 1.3, right? This is no longer 16, it's 1.6. This is 2.3, 2.5. Excuse me, I should be using the mathematical term. So 2 and 9 tenths. Right, go down to the next one. This is not a 30 right now because it says put a decimal in. So it's 3 and 0 tenths. Then there's 3 and 3 tenths, 3 and 4 tenths, 3 and 6 tenths, 3 and 9 tenths. Right, then my 4s, right, this is not a 40 anymore because the key says to put them as decimals. So the key at the bottom of a stem and leaf is always going to tell you, is it going to be whole numbers or is it going to be decimals? Most of the time, being honest with you, you're going to be whole numbers, but you will see some decimals, and they have been known to throw a stem and leaf decimal on the STAR test. In fact, we're about to take a look at a question from one of the old STAR tests that it had a stem and leaf and it included a decimal like this. So let me get it ready and we'll take a look at that problem. So here's the problem. Notice we have a stem and leaf, and look at the key at the bottom. It says, okay, the 1 and 5, it doesn't mean 15, it means a score of 1 and 5/10, 1.5. So that's going to tell me to read this stem and leaf as if they are decimals, not whole numbers. All right, let's take a look at this problem. It says, the stem and leaf plot shows the scores given to the dogs at a dog show. Possible scores were anywhere between 1/10 and 5 0/10. So here's all the scores. We'll write them down here in a second. Question is asking us, what is the difference between the highest score and the lowest score shown in the stem and leaf plot? So typically when we're trying to find the difference between something, we what? Subtract. So I want to find the difference between the highest score and the lowest score. So I need to figure out what the highest score and lowest score is from my stem and leaf. I'm going to just go ahead and maybe list out all my numbers. You should know by now, this is day 4, that stem and leaves go from least to greatest, right? And then listing here on the leaves should also go from least to greatest. So I should know my lowest score should be up here. So it should be this 0 on the stem side and this 8 on the leaf side. So my lowest score should be, right? It's not 8 though, because according to my key, this is 0.8. And then my largest score, my highest score, should be way down here. So it's 4, but which one? Is it 4, 0, 4, 5, 4, 5? The largest score is always here on the right-hand side, so this 5 would be the largest one. So 4, 5, but it's not 45, it's 4.5 because of my key. Now, if it's asking me to find the difference between these two numbers, I need to subtract, right? Can I subtract it just like this? No, you can't, because, right, the larger number needs to go on top, and you should know that 4 wholes and 5/10 is much larger than 0 wholes and 8/10. So we need to switch these around, right? Can't do it like this. So let's do 4 wholes and 5/10 minus 0 wholes and 8/10. And let's go ahead and subtract. So on your own, when you're solving this, no, let's solve it now. Sorry, let's do it now. So I'm going to drop my decimal down. We haven't added and subtracted decimals in a while. Drop my decimals down, right? Line them up like buttons on a shirt. And let's subtract. Can I do 5 minus 8? I can't. I can't start with 5 and take 8 away, so we need to regroup. So this 4 becomes a 3. This 5 is now a 15. Now, what is 15 minus 8? Any guesses? It's a 7. And then we have 3 minus 0, which is 3. So the difference between those two scores should be 3 and 7/10, which should be this G right here. If for some reason we subtracted wrongly, look what they do to trick you. So if you went like this and tried to subtract like this, oh, you could do, okay, 8 minus 5 is 3, 0 minus 4, or 4 minus 0 is 4. Look, they give that as an answer choice. 4.3, 4.3. They give it as an answer choice, but we can't subtract like this. But they know a lot of kids are going to try to do it like this, so they put it as an answer choice to try to trick you and think that you did it correctly. So make sure you're always double checking your work and lining things up appropriately and correctly lining up and putting and setting up your problems correctly. All right, so this is an example of how you can see a stem and leaf that includes decimals. If you were just going to list out all of these, right, this is 0.8. This one would be 1.2. This is 1.5. Do you see how this works? 2.2. My pen is going out of ink. Right, 2.4. 2.8. I won't do the whole thing, but you understand, but it will always tell you at the bottom if it's going to be decimals or if it's going to be a whole number.